Hey, this is Niladri, and we are talking about this capacity planner for a year along with your resource allocations and their costings that we will be able to do over here. So, once you will be able to do this costing and these allocations for 1 years, you'll be able to see multiple different screens like this, or you will be able to see something like this at different steps, or you may able to see something like this over here. And over here, what we are trying to do is we will be making a yearly based resource allocations based on their available hours, and we will also be looking to their costing so that we can find out how much we will be able to cost it. We'll start with our first tab to understand what exactly this particular template is. And this template have frequently few asked questions. You can go over that in case you uh, are working on that and some questions come up. Few of the common questions are coming up over here. If you have any questions, you can call us on this number or better WhatsApp, or for a better response, you can email us on this email ID. This video that you are looking at, it will also be available directly from here. And if you have any particular questions, you can definitely reach over here. Now we'll be talking about something on the setup sections. So this is the first place where you will be setting it up. There are few columns, those are hidden. Those are not for modifying. Those are for the entire system structuring, how it will be coming up. We also talk about some of the limitations that we may have. The limitations is total you may have 50 maximum members, and you may have six different patterns of sprint size. 1 week of sprint, 2 weeks or 3 weeks up to 6 weeks. You may define when exactly your sprint is starting, and it will be take care of that automatically. There are few areas where you will be defining all your team members over here. You can mention some name, for an example, Mr. John, and we'll see how exactly that's coming up. And you can define that, okay, this person is from admin department, so all those admin is coming up. This is the master list. You can define what are the total projects or departments you wants to take care of that. This will help you out on some kind of segregations on the reports. And same time we have the multiple skill sets. So what are the different skill sets you have? As of now, this is our version 1. We are coming up with this. Maybe in the next versions we'll be bringing up something else, and you will get the updated versions as well, whoever already have one versions. And you can define what year you are actually working on. It's year 2021, and we are planning with that. You can define that based on whatever the year you are working on. Your next worksheets will be automatically populated, and there you can work on couple of more areas as well. So if I am looking into the next worksheets, that is allocation forecast, it's talk about the entire year. If you can just scroll from left to right, it will be show you all those years and all those members over here, that 50 members, and whatever the name you have given, it's coming up over here. This one is something is coming from the previous slide, but you can directly change it from here as well. So if you change it to 2020, it will be, the calendar will be changed, and it will be show you some of the errors. We'll talk about what exactly the error it is showing and how we'll be correcting it. It says all the names have a start date and end date. If the end date is outside of this boundary of 2020 or the start date is outside the boundary, it will be showing you as a red. So that will be a quick guide that, okay, whatever the dates you have defined may need to correct, because if my 2020 I am starting my planner and someone is end date is before 2020, that's no longer needs to be over here. And you can see none of the numbers is coming up. But the moment you will change it to something like 2022, all those numbers will be coming up, and the cost will also be calculated automatically. This is showing you the sprints. So every members you can define what the start date, what their end date, and all the data will be auto populated. And you can define what is their default hours they will be working on. You can say 7 or you can say 8. Majority of those cells are driven by formula. You can override them, but always try to keep a backup copy in case some of the formulas you have mistakenly changed and you are unable to recover it. You can use that particular worksheets to take that formula back. Now, over here, what we can see, we have month, under month, we have a sprint duration. So the duration of the sprint is coming up based on whatever you have selected on this setup. So over here, I have selected 3 weeks. So I can select 1 week of my sprint. So it will be showing within this month, there are multiple sprints. So each sprints have a start date and end date. At the end date, it shows the total of the entire members you have. If you don't need all those 50 members, you may delete some of them. Or if you want to go back to 2021, you can change that to 2021. And you need, okay, for an example that you says, okay, I don't need all of them, you can simply select here and delete over here. But make sure if you are deleting something over here, those are all formula driven. So at least what you should do, just remove these times to 0. That will be a good idea, and so it will be not coming up over here. Or at some point of time you can hide them by selecting and clicking on hide, so it will be just showing the total number of hours you will be having. I'll just quickly do undo so that you can see how exactly this one is coming up. Now, as you can see, this 7 is starting over here because I have defined a start date as 112 and it's ending somewhere. Okay, it's not ending first, so I'll be just changing the end date so that you can see how exactly it's coming up. So I have changed the end date to 12th of February. So you can see this is a 1 month of allocations that person have, and this is a seventh number. And this overall month, you have all those prints coming up. You have an options to group by, so you can actually minimize month over month. So you can focus on any particular month you want to do. You want to minimize all of them by clicking on this one, and then you can expanding them over here. All these prints have a border line that will give you an idea where exactly it is ending, and I'll be just expanding it once again. At some point of time, if you think these red lines are what, these are whatever the holidays you have defined over here. So for an example, you want to define one more holidays somewhere at 8th of Jan. So what I will be just doing, I'll be adding one, that's 8 Jan 2021, and some holiday that you will be just mentioning. So that means in your allocations, that 8th Jan, okay, I mentioned something wrong. I entered 1st Jan, I had to enter 8th Jan. Oops, this one is 1, this one is 8. So this is 8th Jan. Now I'll be looking into over here, the 8th Jan is marked as the red because this is defined as holiday, and all those calculation will automatically take care of that. There are gray lines that talks about weekends, that Saturday and Sunday is by default weekend. It's not customizable that you want to do a different weekends, but that can be possible in the next versions if anyone asked for to change that. So this is pretty much what you have. You can see all of them, and at the end you can see that all this totaling up is also coming up. This person was ending in 1 month, so very low amount, and rest of them are having a different amount. So this is where you will be doing. Now at some point of time, if you have a visibility that every employee have given their planned holidays, so you can just enter H wherever they are saying, it will be turned as this color, and sometimes you will be able to add H, and the totaling will be also changing based on how exactly it's coming up. At some point of time, if you want to replace that, just select any adjacent cell and copy on those cells. It will be automatically take care of that because all those formulas are dynamic enough so that you can do that copy and paste very easily. And it's not yet protected, so you can make any changes on the formulas. If you are good in Excel, you can definitely be able to do that. This is where exactly you need to change. There is no other areas that you need to make any changes. Rest of all the worksheets is talks about some of the summaries of these details. So the first summary we look into the member allocation time, where you can see all the members, their skill sets, their projects, and month over month for the entire year, how exactly their total hours of allocations you have. Now you can see the graph because there are 50 members I am looking at. It's very congested, but you may need to focus on some areas that you wants to look into something only for that particular portions. So maybe at some point of time, I want to look for something specific over here, and I want to look into show me only the .NET. So it will be show only the .NET. And now you want to see, okay, I want to see the .NET only for the admin. And you may see, okay, this is the only data coming up. So all your graph will be automatically populated based on whatever the filters you are selecting over here. All right, and you can do your zoom in or zoom out based on your resolutions that you are working for, and you will be able to get a better visibility. For now, I can zoom in and zoom out based, and I can define, okay, this is the best view that I can see in my screen. This particular worksheets is talking about the time allocations. Now, the next one in the same pattern, it will show you the cost one. So over here also, I can actually zoom in. Sorry, I can move your filters to certain filters that I want to do. For an example, you want to just look for only these three members. So what I will be doing is I may need to go for, okay, let's go for these few members that I know. And once I click on OK, it will be show the graphs similarly. As the numbers are pretty same for all of them, all these numbers are coming in the same line. But once you will be having a real data, it will be showing you accordingly. All right, so I'll go into the next worksheets where you can visualize the entire planning and forecasting in a different way. So over here, it shows all the sprints right now you have, and you all the members and how those different hours are actually allocated. This is coming up to 52 weeks because in our setup, we have 1 week of sprints. So if I go into 3 weeks of sprints, and you will able to see that this sprint duration is also changed, and your the allocations that we are talking about over here, the sprint data summary, it will also shows all zeros over here because you will be able to end the year by sprint 18 also. At some point of time, if you realize that my sprint is starting on Tuesday, this is because you have set it up that I will be starting my sprint on Tuesday. If you want to start it on Wednesday, the entire information will be changing because it will be now starting at Wednesday, and all the other dates will be changed. The total will be changed based on the data it will be coming up. Now over here, you can, if you are working on 2 week sprint, that will be a one time activity. You can actually select all of them and click on just hide. That's all. And similarly for this one as well, whatever the sprints name that I have defined on my setup information, this is PI1, PI 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, then IP, whatever the name you think is the best, you can do that. If you are doing an IP iterations, you may not be allocating hours for them, and that way you can define them. As of now, you it's not stopping you to do the auto calculations. We may have a next versions where we will be saying that any sprint that you don't want to calculate or forecast automatically, that we'll also be able to do that in our next version. Now we'll be talking about the same area that what we have done our details. At some point of time, if you think is too much of data, you don't want to look into that, you can simply hide it, and it does not have any dependencies that if you hide it, it will create problem with any other worksheets. You can definitely do that. We'll go into the same areas now once again in a little summarized way where we'll be talking about how my different projects and different departments are allocated based on all my sprints. So there is an informations, so you can refresh it if you are using your non-macro versions. If you are using a macro versions, you can click on this refresh button, or you can right click and refresh this one because all pivot tables need a refresh. Now, if I click on refresh, it will be showing me all those information. The admin is also came up. Now, if you have noticed that it's starting with sprint 11, why it is starting with sprint 11? Because in your field list, I have disabled them. You can actually go for what are the sprints you wants to look for, and it will be show you the data, and you can actually remove. That will be also your one time activity that you may not need all of them, so I'll be just removing them. But one thing you need to remember, pivot tables brings the column in a alphabetical order. So whenever you are sequencing your sprint name, you may need to give the name in a proper sequence so that it can take it in that way. So I'm just removing all of them so that you can see how exactly those are coming up, and this is how you will be able to remove all those sprints. And this is also a one time activity based on your sprint durations. You may need not to have all those, and this is shows you a very high level. And if you're going into a safe way of working, you may bring it up for every 2.5 months. You will be enabling 4 sprints, and that way it will show you the details. And the same things you will be also able to see on your sprint report and costings. This is same thing is coming up. You can refresh it and it will show you the updated data, or you can right click and refresh it. It shows you in terms of cost for all these sprints at different project and different skill sets, what is the costing that you are forecasting. Now we'll go into from sprint to month level, how exactly it looks like. In the month level, it will be having a little different view. I'll just close this up, and where we have a overall chart, it shows at different skill sets at different throughout the year, how much allocation in terms of time or hours it will be having. And there are small tables we are having, those are helping to populate these different graphs. You can right click and refresh them one by one if you are using a non macro sets, or you can click on this refresh. It will be automatically refresh for all those worksheets that you are looking at. And this is talking about categories by skill set, showing the data as time. Similarly, you have one more where you will be able to see categorized by skills and showing the value as cost. And this graph is the pie chart is also shows about different project wise how much the distribution is happening. Now we'll go into another visualizations where it will be showing you months, time, and project. So over month, the project wise, how much time it was taking. So this was earlier it was showing as the skills, now it's showing as project, the total time it will be allocating. And again here also you can click on refresh, it will refresh your data so that you can get your updated data. And next one we have the same, the cost of skills of so this one is sorry not cost of skills, this is cost of projects. All right, so this is all cost of projects you have over here. Then there is a cost summary where it talks about month wise cost summary. So I can just change that month cost summary. In this, it will show you how much the total costing you have forecasted based on different month and for all the different project. Under that, you have a drill down for the different skill sets under that project. You can actually squeeze them out so that you can look into a high level. And if you just look into the total, it will show you over here as well. It doesn't shows any currency. You can define the currency. For example, you want to work on dollar, you will be able to add this one, so it will be show you in dollar. All right, and then finally we'll look into the time summary where it will be showing you the same structure, but instead of cost it's showing the time. Earlier it was showing the cost, now it was showing the time. And finally we have a year and sprint wise differentiations in time and cost as a overall, that these are the different months I have and total month, what is my yearly allocations of time or hours, and this is yearly cost, how much it is coming up. At the same time, you have multiple sprints. As of now we have data up to sprint 18, so you can simply say is okay, I don't want to see the zero data, just show me this, and that way it will be showing you all those data. And you can also just define this zero over here, that okay, I don't want to see the zero. It will show you the different sprints in this particular diagram. So that's all what we have for this. Again, if you are using this template, You can definitely ask us any questions. You have the email ID over here, and you can drop us any email. We'll happy to help you out. If there is some customizations required, some modification required, we'll be able to do that for you if it is a small one. If there is complex changes you are requesting, maybe we need to have a discussions and find it out how we can proceed for that. I believe this tutorial will help you to work on this template. In case there is something else you want to talk about, feel free to reach us. Till that time, have a wonderful day. Bye bye. Thank you.